Hey YouTube, how you guys doing today? Kevin here coming at you with another video. Well, I'm just picking up a lot of the remnants of the engine. So here's some of the stuff done that need to get done. And dug out the other cylinder head that we're going to be using. This is the broken one right here with the fin. And we have the good one here. I cleaned up the intake, got the gasket all cleaned up and everything else. The surface, we got the gaskets. We have the spark plug. We got everything we need to go to get this thing crack-a-lacking. So right now I'm doing the oil pump. I want to show you guys a couple things. And we're working on the kv75, but it's the same as the kd80, the kd100, the ke100, the km100, all those bikes. So you guys have been absolutely amazing with your questions. And I really try to answer all your questions that I can. One of the questions I got was, Kevin, how can I tell if my oiler is getting oil? And I'm going to show you guys a little trick that I do. I just started doing it recently, and I'm going to be doing it to my bikes because there really is no gauge. The only thing you really have to go by is if your thing is smoking, if your bike is smoking. And if you're like me, who uses Lucas, the Lucas 2-stroke oil right here, this thing right here is smokeless. So on the bikes they do smoke, they do have a tendency to smoke a little bit. However, yeah, you don't know. You know, if you have smokeless, and I'm telling you on my channel to look for smoke, I mean, the only thing it's, only way you're gonna know if you don't have oil is if your engine seizes, right? So I'm gonna teach you guys a little trick that I use, and hopefully this will help you out. And I have a couple of tech tips for you. Okay, so I'm working on the kv75. We're getting it back together, and she's coming along absolutely stunning. Got new brakes, wheel bearings in there. We're waiting on the chain and sprocket. And that's it for the drive line. I have to make a couple of gaskets, one for the side cover here, for this piece right here that goes here, and one for the magneto cover. We're waiting for the cylinder to come back from the welder. I took an old cylinder, I cut it, and all that type of stuff. So let's get into the tech tips. So first things first, after your carburetor is completely 100% adjusted, okay, you want to make sure that your oiler is also adjusted, because they use this little box right here, hanging down right here, with the two cables going into it. One goes up to your oiler, one goes up to your carb. So after your carburetor is all zeroed in, you want to do your oiler, and you want to make sure that this right here is zeroed in. So on all these Mikuni oil pumps, all of them, every one of them that they make, there is a line right here. See that line? You want to make sure that that line, see how the line's not in alignment? When you let off your throttle, that they line up. And you can adjust that through your little cable adjuster right there. And if you have a Kawasaki KE100 or a KD80 and all them, it's adjusted right up in here. There's an adjuster. The cable comes through here and goes up to your oiler. Same oiler, different gear ratio on it, but basically the same oiler. So you want to make sure that your oiler is hooked up and is functioning properly. So this is basically a new build, and we got to prime the oil pump. Now we're not going to kick the engine over until we get oil to it. And one of the things I use is this really cool, clear, yellow tube. And you can see where the oil is sitting in the tube right there. And I'm going to show you the fastest way. There is a little bleeder on the side on all of these oil pumps, but I'm going to show you the fastest way to get oil to your pump, no holes barred. Okay, so this is a screwdriver, and you take the bit out of it. It's a 8mm or 5/16. Stick it on the banjo nut. Now watch the oil. Ready? And crack it loose. Look at that, huh? See the oil moving? It's going to go right to the pump. And if you crack this loose and you have no oil coming through, you got to check your tank vent. Okay, so your tank vent should be open, and you should be good. So we're going to let that go all the way to the pump. Probably get a little bit of a drip out of it. Once you get it to the pump, right, there you go. I get the little drip. Okay. Open that one. And that, my friends, is literally all there is to it. Hit the throttle. Move the pump inside up and down. And then lock them all back in. And that is how I get the oil to my pump. Lickety split, very fast, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I just crack free the banjo nut. The oil, you saw the oil. Now it's Kawasaki green. Ain't that cool? See what I did there, guys? I used the yellow tube, clear tube, and you can get that right there, that tube, at a small engine shop, or you can order it online. It's a clear yellow tube, and then you put the blue oil in it. Blue and yellow make green. Look at that, huh? Ain't that cool? So, that's it. That's what I wanted to show you. That cool? So I figured I would do this video to show you guys how you can tell. Now you have an oil gauge. Look at that, huh? Now you have an oil gauge, guys. Now you can tell that the engine is getting oil just by looking at it. If you start to see the spaces where there's no oil, well, then you know you're not getting oil to it. You got to check your tank then. But that is one of the fastest ways I found to get oil to the pump. I always try to show you guys tech tips and tricks, but now it looks cool. The line that goes on the bike is a black line, and you can't tell anything about it. You have no gauge. The only gauge you have is the one on the oil tank that tells you have oil in it. But are you getting oil to the pump? That's the question. So now we know. We are getting oil to the pump. So, yep, she's coming along good, guys. Got the brakes all done. Everything when you squeeze the brakes. Brakes are all good. We refurbished the cables. We've got brand new brakes back in front. We got new wheel bearings back in front. We got new tires and tubes back in front. The only thing we're waiting for on the back is the, I didn't tighten up the axle or, adjust it, but we're waiting on the chain and sprocket and the jug to come back from, what do you call it there, the welder. And then after that, we got to put on that cover there. We got to make a gasket for it first. I always run a gasket. And this is a CDI engine. So let me show you guys that one more time. And we have our air filter and bracket. Alright, so if you look inside where the magnet is, you see the yellow mag right there. Alright, let's get you over here. We use the big opening there. Right there, you can see there's no points on that part of the plate. And down bottom, you can see the hole where the screw is for where the condenser would be. So there is no condenser, no points, which is pretty cool. And then I used that plate to mock up with all the holes in it. Just like this. I don't want that to break anything there. Hold on. Okay. So what we did, we used this plate right here that has all the holes in it to figure out where we needed to go. I already did all the timing on that. And then we just took one of these points, ignition plates, and put that on there, put a screw all the way through a couple of the holes, screwed them right together, drilled it out, and off we went. We're good. So we have our plate made. The bike has CDI ignition, so we know it's got spark. We have the CDI coil on there. And basically, I have it plumbed into the factory wiring harness. I had to make a little pigtail with the speed connector on one end, which I got to tighten up because it's a little loose. I don't like that. And then, that's it. That's all there is to it. So, anyway, guys, it's a short video. It's a little 10-minute one. I wanted to touch base with you guys, show you guys where we're at. Bike is coming along great, and it looks awesome. Very, very, very excited. I can't wait. Here's your little sight glass, just like the KE100s. You can see how much oil is in it. I'm using the little metal wire clamps, and you can see how it's just filled with oil. Isn't that cool? And then we're going to use Kawasaki green fuel line with a filter in line, and then boom, we have our air filter assembly. Super stoked about this, and that'll be right up in there. Just waiting on the jug, and then once that's in, we got all the gaskets. We can then go ahead and put that together and go from there. So looks like I'm going to be gone for a few days. So when I get back, we will be working on it some more. And hopefully by next week we'll do a first start on it, because I am dying to hear this thing run. Well, I heard it run. When I heard it run, it ran because there was the choke didn't work on the carburetor, but it was leaking past the needle and seat, so the fuel was getting into the engine anyway, so it started that way. There was no exhaust tip, so it sounded funky. The engine was in dire need of some seals. It was leaking oil. The whole thing had puddles of oil underneath of it. It was bad. I mean, it was just bad. And I paid $400 for the bike. The guy wanted $8. I talked him down, and I went through basically everything wrong with the bike. I got it for a decent price, which I was happy with, because there's a lot of money into this bike. But we want to get this so it's on the picture next to the red KD80. I mean, we've done a lot of stuff. This bike's come a long way. In fact, over here, this, if you guys remember, was the tail light that was on the bike, and it's not even a proper mount. Luckily, they didn't drill any holes, but I was able to get the factory tail light and plate bracket, and then the headlight assembly, which I kept that too. Obviously came from a junkyard, and it's a Suzuki ATV, which is funny because Harvey Spooner, a friend of mine, gave me the LT 125 I have to go pick up. This is the headlight assembly for that LT 125. So it's crazy. But we were able to get the factory headlight assembly, and this is not off a G3, this is off of a kv75 1980. So we have the actual bulb with the light bulb that goes in back of it, the pigtail, the whole shoot and match, all the little factory clips that hold it in, that whole shoot and match. The fenders were always good on the bike when I got the bike. The oil tank was good. It had the chain guard, had the factory shocks, but they cut the wiring harness out. They did a lot of butchering to this bike. So we basically unbutchered it. We got the factory carburetor cap right there, and we got a really nice replacement cable from vintage Kawasaki. Some of the stuff came from vintage Kawasaki. The what do you call it? The sprocket right there did, not the rail one or the chain. That came from another guy. We got a lot of stuff from them that came in, which was awesome. And a buddy of mine helped me out with pretty much everything else. The seals, the covers, the air filter assembly, the headlight, not the headlight, the other stuff he's helped me out with dramatically. So I've gotten an extreme amount of help from him for this bike. And I'm just trying to put the bike back to its original glory. And then next summer we're going to enjoy it for the summer. Then next summer, we're going to strip this thing right down. Oh, actually, over the winter. Once we're into the new place and they can put this up on the table, we're going to strip this thing down and do... The engine's all fresh, but we're going to redo the whole bike. Paint the frame, the forks, the wheels, and then we're going to just go right down the line. KD80 is going to get done, the KM, and the KE. So we're going to start doing some restoration work, teach you guys some tips and tricks, and make these things beautiful again. So, anyway, guys, I wanted to show you guys some stuff now that we get some time. Okay, so my friend who hooked me up with all those awesome seals and gaskets and parts and pieces hooked me up with something else. Now, these are not going on the bike until it's all, everything's painted. The handle controls and everything. So these are things that he himself had made. You can't buy these, which makes them just that much more special. So we have right here, important chain decal. Okay, pretty cool. kv75 decal for the tank. These go on the hand grips, guys. Lights. Engine stop. And lights high and low. Ain't that cool? So that is all stuff that he had made. I think that is really awesome. So he sent those to me. I thought that was pretty cool. These are not available to the public. He doesn't sell them. He just does them on his personal bikes. I thought that was just a really cool touch to have that. So I figured I'd share those with you guys. So we have those right there for the kv75 once it's restored. I'm not doing any of that. I'm not putting those on until that point. In fact, many of those decals are already there, except for the light, all the hand grip ones. I'll show you. So on the kv75, you can see the V is messed up. The V is messed up. We have, let's see here, that chain decal that he showed. There's another decal here, a warning one. We have a warning one, and there is somewhere on here. I don't think I have the. Yeah, there's the engine stop, right there, and the turn. But that's supposed to be lights. So this is most likely from a G3, the top cover. Same exact controls, and then that one right there said high and low. So that should say lights, and that one should say high and low. So we got that. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't have the chain one on here. Oh, it might be underneath the seat or in the fender somewhere. Should be on the fender, I think. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where it's located on this bike. Oh, you know, is that it right there? On top of the oil tank. Nope. But there is some, what do you call it? I think that, no, that one is missing off this bike. So, yeah, it's missing a couple of decals, but a lot of them are already still there. But it was really cool to get them to be able to put the proper one on. I think I told you the Kawasaki part's not supposed to be on there. So when we restore the bike, that goes away. And it gets the factory kv75. So we have a cool bike that we are, getting there. So very, very excited. I put the factory coil wire on from the coil, and then we have to put the tip on and a little insulator on that, and then that's good to go. So just keep plugging away at it, guys. Plugging away. So we are almost there. Well, anyway, guys, I'm going to cut it short, and I will talk to you guys later. Thank you for all your subscriptions and hanging out with me on these builds. I can't wait to get this thing out there and try it. We got snow. It's been snowing. Of course, it's April. I know. Right around the corner. And then we'll be out there on this bad boy. So I am super stoked about it. Anyway, guys, I will talk to you guys later. Have a great day. And if you guys have any questions or comments, by all means, please share them below.